Aang were alive during the Legend of Korra? And by that I mean obviously Korra would not have been born. So what if Aang had just not died when he died and just lived like 25 years longer? Let's just say. Let's just say Aang lived about 25 years longer. Well, then obviously things would have turned out a lot differently. So if Aang were alive instead of Korra, then Aang would have easily destroyed Amon, because Amon can do bloodbending and all that, but being in the Avatar state can resist bloodbending, so there's that. And Aang would probably figure out that Amon is Yokon's son, because Aang dealt with Yokon before, and Aang would probably take down Tarlok and Amon very quickly and expose Amon as a waterbender to the world and destroy his credibility. So that would be the end of book 1. And then book 2, Unalaq would not be able to deceive Aang easily, and Aang would even if Aang were deceived by Unalaq, then Roku or Kyoshi or Kirk or Yangchen or someone would tell Aang, hey, Unalaq's bad news and he's trouble, and he would be told. So book 2 would be over and Unalaq would be in prison or something. And I think it's just possible that Aang would have probably defeated the Red Lotus to begin with. And the Red Lotus wouldn't even be a problem. Now, book 3, the Airbenders would come back, and Aang would be very thrilled and very happy that there are more Airbenders, and he would personally train them. Now, the Red Lotus maybe would be in the picture, maybe it wouldn't be, and obviously Aang would have a lot of conflict with the Earth Queen, and Aang, having been friends with the Earth Queen's dad as well as the Earth Queen's dad's a bear, Bosco. Aang would probably be angry that the Earth Queen ate Bosco. So Aang would, I think Aang would do fine. And with the Red Lotus, I think Aang would just defeat the Red Lotus. It's possible that the Red Lotus would still be able to take the Air Nomads hostage, and then maybe Aang would give himself up and then have to go through all that trauma and all the stuff that Korra did, or not. It's possible Aang would just be quick and nimble enough to outmaneuver the Red Lotus. And in terms of book 4, I think Aang would defeat Kuvira pretty easily. So obviously having that older experienced Avatar would be very advantageous. And I think in terms of if Avatar Roku had lived all the way until Korra, and Aang and Korra had never existed, well then I think obviously Roku would have handled it well, Kyoshi would have handled it very well, and let's say Roku had lived longer and not died in the volcano, then Sozin would have probably died and never been able to do his conquests. If Kyoshi had never died and stayed alive, and Roku had never been born, if Kyoshi were the Avatar instead of Roku, then Kyoshi would have just destroyed Sozin on the spot. If Kuruk were the Avatar instead of Kyoshi, I think Kuruk would have still handled stuff pretty well. I think Kuruk would have still handled Chin very well, and it wouldn't have been a big deal. So yeah, I think it'd be interesting. But then if we had all these scenarios that I just mentioned, then we wouldn't really have stories, so we wouldn't have stories to tell.